They said it was impossible to sink. They said it was the safest ship ever built. A floating palace of steel, luxury, and human pride. But on a freezing night in April 1912, in the middle of the dark Atlantic Ocean, one silent warning was ignored. One iceberg stood in the path. And within just 2 hours and 40 minutes, the most powerful ship on Earth vanished beneath the icy waters. Over 2,500 souls lost, families separated, dreams destroyed, and a tragedy that changed maritime history forever. What really happened that night? Was it just an accident, or a chain of fatal decisions? Tonight, we uncover the truth behind the legend. The story of Titanic. Titanic, the ship that was called unsinkable. April 1912. The world stood at the peak of industrial power. Steel, steam, and ambition had redefined human limits, and rising from the shipyards of Belfast was a floating symbol of that confidence. RMS Titanic, built by Harland and Wolff for the White Star Line. Titanic was the largest and most luxurious passenger ship ever created at the time, stretching nearly 882 feet long and weighing over 46,000 tons. She was a masterpiece of engineering. On board were grand staircases, electric elevators, a swimming pool, Turkish baths, fine dining halls, and first-class cabins, more luxurious than the finest hotels on land. The media called her unsinkable. Even her designers believed her watertight compartments made her nearly invincible. But nature had other plans. The maiden voyage. On April 10th, 1912, Titanic departed from Southampton, England, heading toward New York City. She stopped briefly in Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, Ireland, before crossing the vast Atlantic Ocean. On board were approximately 2,124 people. Wealthy industrialists, immigrants seeking a new life in America, families, children, and over 900 crew members. The atmosphere was hopeful. This was not just a voyage. It was history in motion. The fatal night. 4 days into the journey, on April 14th, 1912, multiple warnings were received about icebergs in the North Atlantic. But the sea was calm. Too calm. At 11:40 p.m., lookouts spotted a massive iceberg directly ahead. Hard a starboard. The order was given. The engines reversed, but it was too late. The iceberg scraped along the starboard side of the ship, tearing open several hull plates below the waterline. 6 of the 16 watertight compartments were breached. Titanic could only survive 4 flooding compartments. Water began filling the ship silently. The unsinkable was sinking. Chaos and courage. At first, many passengers didn't believe the danger was real. The band continued to play music to calm fears. Lifeboats were prepared, but shockingly, there were only enough for about half the people on board. The rule was clear. Women and children first. Some husbands kissed their wives goodbye. Some mothers placed their children into lifeboats alone. Some passengers refused to board, believing the ship was safer than the small boats. Distress signals were sent into the dark Atlantic night. The nearby ship Carpathia raced toward Titanic, but it was over 50 miles away. The final moments. By 2:00 a.m., the bow was completely submerged. Panic spread. At 2:18 a.m., the ship's lights flickered and went dark. Minutes later, the Titanic broke apart. At 2:20 a.m., the great ship disappeared beneath the freezing ocean. Over 1,500 people lost their lives in the icy waters. Only around 700 survived. The tragedy shocked the world. Aftermath and legacy. Investigations revealed critical mistakes. Insufficient lifeboats. Ignored ice warnings. High speed in dangerous waters. As a result, international maritime laws changed forever. Lifeboat requirements increased. 24-hour radio monitoring became mandatory. The International Ice Patrol was formed. In 1985, Titanic's wreck was finally discovered nearly 12,500 feet below the ocean's surface. Broken, but not forgotten. The real meaning of Titanic. Titanic was more than a ship. It was a symbol of human pride and a reminder of nature's unstoppable power, a story of bravery, sacrifice, love, and loss. More than a century later, the world still remembers. Because Titanic was not just a disaster, it was a lesson written in ice and steel. If you want more deep, powerful historical documentaries like this, subscribe to Depthline TV, like, share, and follow us on Facebook and TikTok. Because some stories must never sink into silence.